Hi, I'm Jason Breach from Axminster Tools. Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. Today we're going to look at diamond stones. So what do they do? How do we use them? Diamond stones are relatively new compared to the other things we're going to look at after this video. So why? What's special about them? They have a few advantages, maybe a few disadvantages. So we're going to run through those. Now we've got a pile of stones on the bench in front of me. So have these different stones. We can get you in a little bit. We'll try and show you what we've got, how they're done, give you a little bit of a history lesson as well. So let's get the camera in so you can view this a little bit more. We'll try and go through things. So I'm just going to move these two about. So we go to this end first a little bit, okay? When I first started here, these came in, these were DMT stones. They have a plastic backing, lots of holes. The colour's gone a little bit, actually the colour would have come through the holes. The holes were done to give you a clearance area with the diamond. So in other words, when you're cutting something, you're generating a swarf or waste material of the tool you're cutting. You needed somewhere to flush that material out. So therefore the holes generated that area, allowed the diamond stone to keep cutting effectively. Downside, the sharp corners of the tool tended to catch. So weren't always that popular. Different colours gave us different grades. We're going to look at that a little bit in a minute. So got those. Things then developed to something more as a flat plate. So these are bonded, as with the originals really, to a metal plate or something metal as a substrate. The advantage of having metal, stays nice and flat. Doesn't warp, doesn't distort, doesn't wear too much. You can have something double-sided. So this is double-sided, 400 and 1000. We're going to go over that again in a minute. Lots of little grooves. The grooves are there again to try and generate a way of washing out or giving clearance to that waste material to be flushed away. So you get the idea of why it's flat, okay? Going on the line again, something bigger and flatter, okay? Magnetic base, same sort of thing. Now look at how the sizes are changing as well. So if you've got something like your hand plate, so let's just get the blade at the plane here. Take this off. Okay, do the screw there. We're going to want this in a second. So if you think about the original that I looked at, look at the width of the blade compared to what we've actually got as a stone underneath. You're constantly almost having to work across this to try and sharpen the whole blade. As things have developed, they've made things wider. They've started to look at what you have as a width. Wider can make it easier to do some of the tools we're going to sharpen. So size is quite an important thing. So we've done there, move these out of the way a little bit. Newer things, and we're going to cover this. This is a stick down diamond plate. Nice thing with this is you can curve it, so you can stick it something round. You can stick it down onto something dead flat. And we're going to look at that in a few videos time with the scary sharpening stuff. So that one I'm going to lose because it's thinner, more an abrasive. Other things that have come in, this is bit different again. Now this is really coarse. This is a 140 grip. This is stuck down to a stainless steel backing plate. Really coarse this is. You can probably get the idea of that. Okay, we've got a stick down thing. Now these are Japanese made. We also have a backing plate to stick it onto. This is an aluminium machine, so it's dead flat. You can have one either side. So they stick together. Super easy, really easy to do. We've got one we've already played with in here. So I'm going to use that in a second. Now the types of diamond change depending on, if you like, the manufacturer. If you take your general stone, what is it? As we've already said, it is a steel plate. Onto there they bond an industrial made diamond. Okay. You can have a monocrystal diamond or a polycrystal diamond. The monocrystal is the better quality and will last longer. What you're getting is difficult to know. Price wise will reflect it a little bit. The really cheap diamond stones, sorry, they're going to be a cheaper diamond. They won't last as well. The other problem with the polycrystal, it doesn't always tend to be a uniform shape. The other thing they tend to do with these, they cover the whole stone, as we kind of said. The newer plate that we've just said about, this is accurately done formations. The idea again with that is trying to give clearance area to wash away that material. Okay, this will last a bit longer with the type of diamond these are made from. So that's something worth thinking about. Other good thing we've said, so benefits so far, it's flatter, it's fast cutting, okay, so they are pretty fast to cut with. They don't break when you drop it on the floor. So if you're going out on site, you're sharpening a chisel or something, or you want something to sharpen your chisels on site with, if you drop this, not going to matter. If you drop a water stone or an oil stone, yes, you're likely to break it. So this is more portable. You need something to use as a lubricant. You can get proper lapping fluids. Okay, these are designed, the idea with this is they've got an anti-corrosive thing, because obviously if you have a steel plate that you're bonding stuff onto and you leave it covered in water, there's the risk that it'll go rusty. So these have got an anti-corrosive thing in. So you want something like that as a lubricant, okay? So hopefully get a bit of an idea. Now grade wise, they tend to number these. Now a bit like abrasive paper, the higher the number, so you got 400, 1000 grit. Okay, the higher the number, the finer the grade. As we said in the first video on this line, each of the materials used to make the stone or the sharpening system, so oil, water, diamond, okay, each seems to have a slightly different grading system. Makes it difficult to compare what's going on. So in other words, a water stone I can go much finer, and I guarantee it's a finer grit. Give me a different polish to what we will get on here as 1000 grit. So that can be a little bit problematic if you're getting into this of what grade does what. Okay, the higher the grade, the finer the grit. So like I said, we have 400, 1000. Now I said to you about the one we bonded down on here, that's 140 grit. So we're dropping right down from the 400. Now, why do you want different grits? This is a grinder, if you like. Almost doing like your bench grinder. We're going to set that up and do that in a second. 400 sharpening, 1000 will give you a better edge. Now, why do we want sharp tools? What's the benefit with sharp tools? Okay, first of all, if something is sharp, it will cut easier. Less effort, less force is required. That can be a good thing, especially if it's something as simple as a kitchen knife. It cuts easily, you haven't got to push as hard. If there's resistance, you tend to force it. You've got the risk you can even damage yourself. Cuts to your fingers and things like that from that force that's happening. If it's easier to work with, you'll get a better finish as well. If it's sharper, it'll cut the material cleaner. So therefore, things fit together better. All those little things come into it. Now, if we define the word sharpness, it is the accurate coming together of two ground points. So, let me just see if I can get, now Dan, we might need to zoom back just a little bit. Let's see if we can get into this. Okay. Alright. Okay, so you can see my plane blade? Yep, fantastic. Right, we have our hand plane blade. If we sharpen it on something coarse, so on a 140 grit, and you can magnify the cutting edge, you get that. The coarseness of the stone will leave these in the front of the cutting edge. They come up to points, little teeth. We start to cut our piece of wood, you break the sharp tips off because they're very unsupportive. So up to a narrow little bit. If we can refine that down a bit more and go finer, the points become less aggressive. If you can refine it and polish it, you can get a bar. Now the bar is stronger because it's one line, not lots of little tape. So different grades play a really important part in this of getting rid of these to something as a bar. Okay, so that's really important to get you to understand how coarse things are when we start. Okay, so let's move a few things out of the way. Do that one in a minute. Going to start off now. One of the things we looked at making in here years ago was something as a sharpening system. When we do the water stone one, you'll see where the origins of this came from. So we have a sharpening board. On this, it is designed really around diamond stone. Fits into here, so it has a holder. It's in a waterproof material called formalic, a very hard plastic. The idea of the sharpening board for this was something to make it portable, but also allows you to use something to make this repeatable. Now, when I went to college and learnt to sharpen, everything was freehand. Off you go. Now, the problem with this, if I turn myself sideways a bit, you go back and forward, you've got to lock your wrist out. What tends to happen? You roll a bit. Your bevel, your plane, your chisel end up curved, rounded, which actually means you get to a certain point where just behind the cutting edge, the curved edge will affect how that's cutting. It will push the chisel or the plane definitely off the workpiece. So on here we have a ground edge as a clearance angle, 25 degrees, 30 degrees is where the cutting edge is. So hopefully, even on our plane, you can probably see that. So right at the top we've got our 30, 25, okay? So on here, when we looked at this, we're going to start with sharpen, so we're going to go 400. You get an idea, the diamond stone's quite solid, we've just thrown it about. Then we've got real simple honing guide, most basic thing there. I know this in an eclipse style honing guide, they've been around for a long time. They're not perfect, alright, they have a few things that cause issues. So go over those, we're going to show you what they are. But this was all designed to be used with this. If you understand where the issues are, hopefully you can work with it. You understand what's going on. One of the issues is us, if you like, users. We're naturally dominated right or left-handed. We put more pressure naturally one side than the other without even thinking about it. So our honing guide, we can close it up, we can open it out. Okay? We have a little slot on the side. Now, help us see what's going on. I'm going to go marker pen. Okay? We can colour this in. Okay? Trying to colour in quite a lot for you so you can see what's going on. Now hopefully we can see that. We coloured in the back bevel, we coloured in the front. Okay. Ben's nodding at me, that's good. So on here we want to sharpen. Now we have on the board it says chisels, it says planes. Okay, we're working on a hand plane blade, so I want first of all to be planes facing me. Our blade nice and wide, go into there. I don't want 25, that's my primary bevel. I want to do a sharpened edge, so I've got to just bring the board back to me. Hopefully we can still see that. Going to bring it to there, and there, go to there. So I'm using this length now as a length stop to make it repeatable. In other words, I'm not just trying to guess where this is going. I can set it up and go, that's there. 30 degrees, I can lock it off. Nice and easily done, okay? Now, we're playing a bit the last few days with things. Now I should be using the lapping fluid. So I've just sprayed a little bit on the cloth. My lapping fluid though does this. Takes the pen mark straight off. So, first of all, let's see if we can get the pen back on there. But I want you to see what's happening, so the pen helps that go. So just to do what we're going to do this morning, I'm going to use a little bit of water. I need to remember to clean up when I'm finished. Don't want things going rusty, okay? It's 400 grit, shouldn't need too much. Now, I said to you, few problems with this as a honing guide. Little roller. Look how narrow this is, nice and small in the middle. So, problem with this is, I've got to get my hand pressure correctly in behind, or this is going to rock about. Hopefully you can understand what I'm showing you there. We're going to turn it back round. So to use this effectively, my thumbs need to go in behind, resting on the grey bits. Fingertips, either side, equal. Trying to keep everything nice and quick, alright? So we can go back and forward. Now ideally with this we should just be taking the pen off the front of the blade. Don't need too much pressure. Just going to finger dry that. Now hopefully you can see the pen in behind, okay? You're getting a nice silver line on the front. Looks newish as a colour. Now the other nice thing we're using diamond stones for this, definitely on the back of the blade, we know the stone stays flat, so we can dress the back. this is all going back to that initial thing we said about describe the word sharpness, the accurate coming together of two ground points, 1, 2. So the sharpened edge, as we think about the bevel, but also the back is just as important. So we've just taken the burr off. Going to turn this over, 1000 grit, so we can go finer, okay? Now, a little bit of water, a little bit of blue towel just for a second. Okay, so we've got our edge, hopefully you can see there, okay. Now I'm going to try and see, I don't know if this will work too much, especially with this. I know it works better with the water stone. I'm going to try and do half of, and we'll do the other half in a minute. Okay, so we've just done down here. Okay, now we're going to hold that up and let you have a look in a minute. Next interesting thing on here, I can see there's grey colour. That's our metal particles that we're washing away. So you can see where we're sharpening what's coming off. Okay, got to be a bit careful because I know that'll be sharp. Is there now for me to do this? Just hold this up. Don't know if you can see any difference. Okay, I know on a water stone I can make this more apparent. Okay, so this side should be a bit finer. We come finer on the stone, we've reduced those V's down. So let's go back and do all of the stone. Now some of you that are your seasoned woodworkers will know with a hand plane blade, this doesn't need to be dead flat. We want a little bit of camber, a bit of curve to the blade, definitely the corners. So first thing, let's get it straight. So working the stone, I can move around. Now I want to put that little bit of camber in, so more pressure now, right hand. More pressure with the left fingers now. So I'm taking a bit off the sides. Got our edge. We've got a nice burr on the back here. I can feel it in my thumbnail. I want to take that off. So nice and flat, hold it on the stone, up and down. Okay, so that will dress flat edge, straight edge on here, okay? Feels better. Just going to take this out then. Now, we move along the board just a little bit. Have the other side. This is a leather strop. Polishing soap. Okay? Now, the older guys will remember when you got dragged down to the barber's shop first time with Dad, sat in the chair and he watched the barber with his cutthroat razor sharpen it. So he did leather strop. So we can do the same on here. Now at the moment there is a minute piece of silver foil, if you like, floating about every time I turn it over. We want to hone it off. So I bring this up freehand, drag it towards me. My pressure is pulling back towards that way. Turn it back over, do the back. Back over again, okay? So hopefully getting something now that should be a bit sharper. I don't know if I can have this problem in here, end up with no hairs on my arm by the end of the day, okay? We can cut a hair or cut a bit of paper. So just that simple leather strop pushes things on just that little bit further. So we've now got, hopefully if I bring this up, got something that will look shiny on the front. Quite interesting when we compare this maybe to a water stone, because I can give you a totally different finish on the front than what we're going to get off a diamond, because we can go finer on the grit. So this has gone to 1000 grit and then we've honed and polished. Hope you can see it there. Ben give me a thumbs up, which is good. Okay, we got the back. So it's not bad. Now, the joy with this definitely is portable. You can take it away, move it around. Easy to put in the back of the van. Doesn't take up too much room. Or maybe you've got your workshop, want something set up as an area with little sharpening area. Fantastic. Okay, it will give you something quick and easy, and it's designed to give you something that's repeatable. Lock it in. Set a length. Off you go. Quick and easy to do, okay? So we did a hand plane blade. We're going to use the blade in a minute. What about chisels? Okay. Now, just going to kick this over. I've got a number of different chisels here. But there is one thing that we do have that I know about, that people look up and say about. I said this isn't perfect. We've said about us and weight. Also though, how it holds a chisel. We close this down. Your chisels are designed to fit in the lower jaw section. Alright, underneath the top plate is your hand plane. The lower section down in here. Hopefully that's nice and clear, I think. Alright, so underneath. Now depending on the type of chisel will determine if it fits. Okay. What is a standard wood chisel? Okay. We have 5 different brands of chisels that we keep. They're all standard wood chisels, but they're all made slightly differently. So, Big Stanley one now has this nice big fat side edge. Alright, this is to me a beveled edge chisel, but it's almost got like a firmer side down the edge. Now it doesn't clip into this little groove. It gets too fat down here, won't hold in there. Okay, so it's a struggle to do this up and clip it in those little ridges. It tends to move. Okay, hopefully you can still see that. Alright, can just about get it in there. Alright, if you have a chisel that comes down to a thinner edge on the side, sorry Ben, alright, down a bit, okay, good. Alright, this should go under here. I can load it, a little bit fiddly with where I am leaning across the bench, but I can get it in that groove, I can lock it off, now it's going to hold. So depending on how the chisels are manufactured or how the side edges will determine if this is going to work and where it will grip. Okay, Veritas one, nice. Japanese chisels are a real pain because they're short and fat, not a chance. So my customer comes too thick up here, so you need to look at your chisels a little bit before you kind of say this doesn't work. It's a shame. Comes more down to this than the design of this. Okay, so just hope that you explain that you can see where you or what you might need to look at. Now, going to reach right over to here. We've got this other chisel. Okay, this is one of my chisels in here. We use lots of hand tools in here with the Windsor chair course now, but this chisel, I've deliberately yesterday, we're going to bring it right back up into you in a minute and so you can hopefully see it. I've done the horrid thing of doing, right, and we've got 3 or 4 hopefully little dents right in the tip. See what Ben's playing with, see if he can tell me if you can see them. Can you see the little chips there a bit? Okay. Can you see the chipped edge? Right, okay. Now I'm one of those people, actually, if I drop anything in here, I tend to put my foot out to try and catch it. Not always the best thing. Okay? Especially with something sharp. So even though if it hits you and it cuts, it's going to give you a nice straight cut. We want to get rid of those chips. We could go with a 400. I'm going to go down to that thing. So the stick-on diamond plate we put on the aluminium backer. This is a little bit coarser, so it'll be quicker. This will act a bit like your bench grinder. Why not use a bench grinder? Creates too much heat. And you're going to see that definitely when we do the scary sharpening video, because I'll give you an idea of how hot things get working by hand on a plate. This might do it a little bit, we're going to find out. Okay? If you use a bench grinder, you generate a lot more heat quicker. There's a lot more friction involved. So you blew the cutting edge. You burn the tool steel. You draw the temper out of it. It won't hold its cutting edge. These are heat treated to a point. If you go beyond that or under that, you harden or soften the metal. Deliberately set at a place, so we don't want to add more heat to this. You destroy the very cutting edge. So on here we have that 140 grit stone. Just going to pinch that in. You can use a bit of water again. Just really the fact for the pen. Okay. Going to go with my marker pen. Want to colour this in. See what's going on. Now, I'm still going to use the sharpening board just for a second because I need to turn it all the way around. Okay. It now says chisels. Honing guide. Going to go back to that. Put it in lower in those jaws. Get them locating right. I need to slide it forward Just going to bring the board back to me so I can get to the 25-degree angle. I want to do a primary bevel. Okay, so I'll set it at my lamp stop, just double checking. Move that over for a sec. Tighten it up. Want to make sure it's tight, I don't want any slipping. Get a few things out of the way. Right, let's see where Ben is there. So on here we've got that coarse stone. That sounds different already compared to what we've done. To give you an idea, this is quite a coarse stone. Now this is going to get rid of those chips. It'll take a little bit of effort. Finger pressure. I can keep almost both ways. Push forward and back, keep my pressure on. This will start to tell us what we're doing already. We're already cutting the surface. We've taken the pen off. Got a little bit more to do. The rubber holder underneath stops it slipping around the bench. Also raises it up a little bit to give me a bit more clearance for my hands. Hopefully you can see the colour changing on the water. So this is flushing out those metal particles. Just checking our edge. A little bit to go. Okay. Now this is nice and quick with this because the coarseness of this stone. Now this is about generating a nice clean bevel all the way through. Just trying to feel my thumbnail now. You've got to be careful doing this. Have we got back to those chips? I think we have. So those little chips could be you dropped it, you found that nail or screw embedded in the woodwork. Alright, going to bring our sharpening board back in now. So we've got rid of, oh, if I can get this undone, the chips. We're going to need the honing guide. It's just easier to hold this back up here. Ben's going to tell me where we are. Hopefully we're alright. Alright, so got rid of the chips. Hopefully, and I don't know if this will show on the camera clearly, it looks quite rough, quite coarse, lots of lines coming towards the front edge. So what are all those lines? That's those V's that we said about. Deep little grooves in reality. If we left it like that, you're going to snap off the high points really quickly. So, back to our honing and the board. Just going to turn the board from there. We're saying chisels. Right, there we are. That one back in. I've got to put it back in the honing guide. The reason I took it out, I've got to change the angle anyway. So we're going to go from 25 to 30. Back onto the edge here, just to give me a bit of clearance for the jig. I'm going to turn it on its side a little bit, so I can set my length nice and accurately. Lock it off again. Okay. I can flip the stone over. Shouldn't need too much on the 400 grit side. We've done a lot of work. That coarse grit's already got us up to a nice clean point and bevel. This is going to add a steeper edge which will add a bit more strength to the cutting tip. 25 is great for softwood. 30 will be better, bit all round use. 5, okay? So all I push back and forwards, 5 group. Now you can already see, I hope, it looks a bit different. You've got deep V's in behind, then you've got that little shoulder line coming across the front. Okay? Good. So, going to move from 400, flip it over, 1000 grit. So this will give us a better edge. Okay. Now try and just dry that off. We lost all our pen when we did the initial thing. If I colour all of this in, you should see the difference between in behind the 25, the 30 being the front. Get the pen to dry. Hopefully you can see the black in behind, everything else on the front. Okay, looks good. So we're going to undo this now. We're done with the honing guide. Now again, when using this, fingertips, thumbs in behind. So everything's bridging across, trying to keep it central on the board, trying to stop you rocking. This isn't something you can do one-handed, you'll tilt it. This makes it easier, it doesn't make it foolproof. You still have to work, okay? You can't watch telly and do this. So, put the honing guide there. We've got to do the back of the chisel on here at the moment. Not an easy way of showing you, but I can feel there's a big burr up on here now. Go do that back. 1000 grit. Let's have a little bit of water. Look at the water coming out and the colour changing. You can see what I've just washed off. That's the metal particles we've cut. Now the other nice thing from water stones, especially if you get new tools or new chisels and stuff, and anything needs flattening on the back, great for this because they stay flat. Okay. I wouldn't want to go down to the coarse stone, so I don't know if you noticed when we went from the 140, I didn't do the coarse stone to take the burr off. Why? It's going to put lots of scratch lines in the back. Too coarse what I want. I want to keep this clean if I can. Once I've flattened it, I don't want to go messing it up too much. So we're done there. Chisel, we can do the same as we did before. We're doing our leather strop, pull towards us, give us a nice edge. So do the back. Might want a little bit more soap. Okay, so we got something got to come down a bit. Okay, all right. Again, difficult to show you how something's sharp. I mean, I get people look up and go, "Will it cut a piece of paper?" What do you reckon? All right, not my finger now. That was close. Okay, so we can cut the paper quite nicely. Let's just keep those quick and easy to do now. We've just restored that from something we're a little bit damaged, dropped on the floor, hit a screw. Coarse stone, really good for that. That takes a lot of effort out. If I'd gone just to the 400 grit, we'd still be doing that, getting rid of those dents. So that speeds things up to get rid of the initial damage. That's the only time I'd use that, get rid of the damage. Then go over to here. Now, one of the other chisels we've got, doesn't matter, we'll go with that. All right, so that's the one we've just done the damage with. Give you the scope of this. Within the courses, I like to get stuff back in the student's hand as quick as we can. Be it hand plane, chisels, spoke shave. Now, make it repeatable and accurate. Speeds life up. Sharpening's a chore, alright? It's not enjoyable. My enjoyment is to do the woodwork. Cut a piece of timber, make the joints. Not sharpen a chisel, but it gives you the scope of how quick and easy that is, okay? Your honing guide makes it repeatable. If I did that freehand, oh wow. And I've seen stuff come in when we've done sharpening courses and go, and you can use this? Oh, come on. So that makes things nice and repeatable. Your diamond stone, great in the aspect that, first of all, stays flat. Quite quick cutting. It's robust. So if you drop it, you're not going to break it. This is great in the aspect, it's portable. Leather strop really makes a difference on the aspect that simple just to get rid of that wire edge. You can touch it back up maybe without even sharpening. Some of the carving knives and stuff we do leather strop, really good for that, okay? So, got our diamond stone station, we've sharpened our chisels, we've looked at the honing guide setup. Got a few other things diamond wise just to have a look at. Oh, stretch. Get smaller stuff. Now I wasn't going to put these in, but they're relevant to this. Get more unusual shaped objects. Things you might want to sharpen. These are little fold up diamond files. This is 4 little diamond plates. You could fit your own handle. This is the knife sharpening plate. Alright, so you have a curved edge, flat. The little bit in the middle, fishing hooks. Okay? We want to sharpen something like our draw knife. The curved one's great for this because I can get into here, I can work along it. I can go round and round, but it gives me something portable. I can tilt the blade around it. If I want to come up to here, I can go across the flat. Okay, good for that. And again, doesn't wear. A little bit of water as a lubricant can be good. So things like our draw knife are easy to do. Scissors and garden shears, we'll do a recap of this when we get to spring, but something like a pair of scissors. Let's have some of this sitting on. We're going to go with a small diamond file for a minute for this. This is good for things like router cutters. You can do the inside of your scissors. Okay. Now most scissors are hollow ground, so I'm only touching the back and the front. I think you can see there where it's shinier, you get the darker colour in the middle. Okay. So it's showing where we're touching either side. That actually even feels sharper just from that. Again on here we've got 4 plates. 2, 4, 120, 180, 320s that side. Let's go with the 320. Don't need anything too coarse on this, so I can go down through there. Now again, definitely on these now you can see where we've got that more silvery colour on the tip. Just touch them back up, get them until they do a bit more, okay? Can be really good. So, your diamond file and diamond plates definitely really have a place. Alright, so Ben, yeah, cool. Turn it back a bit, okay? Got a couple of things just to do where you go back there. So, things like our hand plane, we sharpened. Hopefully it's nice and sharp. We're going to have a look. Your diamond stone, as we said, major benefits. It stays flat, it's robust, so actually it will last quite well. Flatness is actually probably the major importance from my point of view. It will sharpen, easy to use, you can use water as long as you dry it back off. So my plane I'm just setting back up, we put the chip breaker on the back, we're about 1 millimetre away from the front edge. We can put our plane in, just going to turn that round, drop it in carefully, load it onto there. Just need to grab up on the shelf over here, a little bit of wood. I'm going to come around to the front of the bench because we need to get to the vise. A little bit of satin wood. I don't know if Ben can see this from here. Can you see the grain in there, Ben? Alright, quite an amazing piece of satin with this. Lots of figure down through here. The grain's coming diagonally, so we're going to go there. Drop that in. I've got to set my plane up. So let's bring this round. I'm going to take my little shoe off the front there, which is magnetic, keeps it off the bench. Just checking where we are now. The side we're a little bit higher on. So I'm going to bring that over. Trying to equal this up. So I'm moving the lateral lever, move it about. That's better there. Now we need to come forward just a touch, tightening the chip breaker and the cap iron up a bit. It's in squarer now, can take a bit of setting up. The little block helps. Instead of going straight onto the job, means we can find where things are cutting. So I want to get quite fine cut through there. I'm going to take my magnetic slip off onto there. Check we're going to hit our board. A little bit there. Okay. On that side. Got a high spot right in the front here. That's not to knock that on the floor, it's another job to sharpen. So we're getting nice fine shaving from this. Beautiful finish. And like I said, this isn't a soft material, this is something relatively hard. Very close grain. Lovely fine shaving. Let's move that back to there, put the magnet back on. That keeps it up. We know we're cutting fantastic, got a lovely finish on here, straight off the pane. Something you can't achieve with a sander, very different, okay? So your diamond stones will give you something quick and easy to sharpen. They stay flat, they don't need much maintenance, they will last well as long as you look after them. There are 2 different types of diamond, as we said. One that's more expensive but will last a bit longer. If you want something more aggressive, look at something coarser. So the Sharpening plate's 140 grit, really good for something as an aggressive plate to get you back to a straight level. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that. Next week we're going to look at water stones. So we'll see you next Wednesday, 4 o'clock. Thanks very much.